I mean, look, I support Israel, but I am absolutely an America first person. I do not want to see one U.S. military personnel die over there so that we could remake Gaza. I mean, if a member of the U.S. military were to die over there retrieving hostages, some of which are U.S. citizens, which some people seem to conveniently forget, I can understand that. But I don't think anyone signs up for the U.S. military to do this. And like when Sarah Adams was on, we were saying the fact that is Trump going to go after these perpetrators of Benghazi who are still alive, who are still roaming the world, who are in all different countries in the Middle East? And as Sarah said, and I echoed, there's so many things for him to worry about right now in terms of securing the border, in terms of deporting people, especially those who did violent crimes, rebuilding Los Angeles, rebuilding Hawaii, rebuilding the parts of the country that you're doing claims on right now.
Yeah, North
And
Carolina,
I
Florida.
think there are so many priorities people had. And I speak to people of all political spectrums, including a lot of Trump supporters. I don't know one person who said that rebuilding Gaza was a priority. Battle Line podcast, guest free episode. We've got plenty to cover. Before we get into everything, I love all of the great products from Ned. Oftentimes, you hear people say that you can't find any CBD that's made in America, and I always have to correct them because
Yeah.
we have the best CBD sponsor in the world. It's all grown in Colorado. But then beyond that, they have their daily balm, their relief balm, which I love during these cold winter months. My joints tend to lock up, or you get stiffness, and that always helps. Yeah, it's something we've both been using for, I don't know, 4 years or something at this
Yeah,
point.
and yeah, I threw my back out just yesterday, just doing
Damn.
therapy, you get old age and I overwork, and I'm still rehabbing my hip and getting everything stronger, and I don't take days off like I should because I'm
Yeah,
not
that you
30 years
should.
old anymore. And but I do. I threw a little bit of leaf balm on my back, and it really helped with the inflammation. Plus, the ability to knock that pain out of there. And my back feels great today. I jumped on the bike and rode the bike today. So yeah, it's not just the CBD, but it's if you're active, that pain relief balm is freaking amazing. Yeah, so definitely, even just for that, that's worth its weight in gold, man. It's great stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Mellow magnesium for great sleep, the sleep blend. Check it all out. Go to helloned.com/battleline and you'll get a great deal as a first time customer, or just add the code battleline at checkout. Once again, that's HELLONED.com/battleline. Thank you, Ned. With that, let's get right over to our show.
From Kansas City to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Kris, Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battle Line Podcast.
The switch is on, Battle Line podcast, and it's funny because a couple of days ago we said we were going to do a guest-free show, and I was like, "Do we have anything we can cover?" Because I don't like to not be prepared. I feel like any great radio show or podcast, like even sometimes if it sounds like they're shooting from the hip, there's got to be some preparation involved.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
in the
no,
past couple of days, a million things come up, and it's like, Trump proposes the U.S. taking over Gaza, which is completely unheard of. FBI turning over details of 5,000 agents who worked on the January 6th case. Pete Hegseth visiting the border. You wanted to speak more about this plane crash situation.
yeah,
Morgan
yeah.
Luttrell putting forth this cartel act to pull back the veil on border drug and human trafficking. So, dude, I just there's a ton of stuff here. I feel like Alex Jones when he's like, I can't cover it all.
You can't. You
So
can't. Dude,
I,
this,
yeah, I
told
don't even
you.
know if we're gonna get to all this. So I don't know where to begin. I guess I'll let you let me know where you think
I'm
we
gonna
should
let
start.
you. Dude, this country is. I said it on Sean's show. And it was a big. He put it out. I said it on his show. I said this country manufactures nothing except for, of course, CBD with Ned. It manufactures nothing but drama and politics. And seriously, you just there's no loss of stuff to talk about daily because that's all. Really, that's all we have is drama and politics. And here we are. And some of it's warranted and worth talking about, and others isn't. But regardless, there's just a plethora of it, as El Wapo would say, plethora of drama and politics. So there's never a shortage of things to talk about on shows. And I think that's why podcasts do so well, because there isn't a shortage of information. There's always something out there, no matter what genre you're in. You're going to find something to talk about.
Yeah. So where do you think we should start?
I think we should. I'm gonna leave it up to you, dude. You go ahead because I think well, I know you're passionate about the Gaza.
I'm
Trump and the
passionate about
Gaza.
all of this, though. Truthfully, I am.
But this morning, let's just start with that because I know you texted me about it this morning, and me living under a rock like I usually am. I like I don't know what are you talking about. I don't know nothing what you're talking about, Ian, and researched it. I think it's just a good place to start, man. Let's knock it out with that.
I mean, you guys, I'm sure, have seen the speech by now because it's going to be Tuesday by the time we put this up. We're recording on Thursday, but yeah, Trump giving, meeting with Netanyahu. It would actually, the day started off, I think, in terms of progress of where we're going on this situation, great, because Trump said we're not going to be funding UNRWA with the UN anymore, which, as we know, was supplying things to Hamas, covering up what was going on. And I said, great. I mean, like, we're cutting a lot of this useless spending, or in the worst case, spending that's going to fund our enemies, stuff that you've spoken about a lot.
Yeah, it does. It is
at length. And but then he gives this bizarre speech, and I feel like people are having fun with it on social media, as we do no matter what goes on. But I think at the end of the day, when he gives this speech where he says we're going to level Gaza and we're going to take a whole, it's going to be a part of the US, basically territory that we're going to control, and he basically says we're going to displace something like 1.2 million Palestinians. This sounds insane to me. It also sounds like something that Netanyahu's always wanted. Netanyahu's always said that he basically believes Israel should be an entirely Jewish state, which even someone like me, I'm a very big supporter of Israel. You could put me in the Zionist category, but I'm not someone who thinks it's just Israel, Jews and Jews alone there. I mean, this is a piece of land that has great history for all three monotheistic religions, Jews, Muslims, and I think Christians get left out of that, but there's certainly a huge part of Israel. That's where Jesus walked. I feel like it should be a place that all three monotheistic religions have some stake in. So when I hear that, it just sounds crazy to me. And then, I mean, the other aspect of it that I don't get is when Trump says, we are going to be responsible for leveling out that place, getting everyone out of there, dismantling any bombs that are there. And he's sort of walked that back a little today, saying, oh, we're not going to have boots on the ground. But then how do you dismantle all bombs and go into all the tunnels there? And to me, I mean, look, I support Israel, but I am absolutely an America first person. I do not want to see one U.S. military personnel die over there so that we could remake Gaza. I mean, if a member of the U.S. military were to die over there retrieving hostages, some of which are U.S. citizens, which some people seem to conveniently forget, I can understand that. But I don't think anyone signs up for the U.S. military to do this. And like when Sarah Adams was on, we were saying the fact that, is Trump going to go after these perpetrators of Benghazi who are still alive, who are still roaming the world, who are in all different countries in the Middle East? And as Sarah said, and I echoed, there's so many things for him to worry about right now in terms of securing the border, in terms of deporting people, especially those who did violent crimes. rebuilding Los Angeles, rebuilding Hawaii, rebuilding the parts of the country that you're doing claims on right now.
Yeah, North
And
Carolina, Florida.
I think there are so many priorities people had. And I speak to people of all political spectrums, including a lot of Trump supporters. I don't know one person who said that rebuilding Gaza was a priority. So, like, he's doing a lot of good things right now, but I don't know why we need to add more and more. You know, when it's whether it's trade wars, taking over Greenland, like no one asked for this. Yeah. So I'm always going to give it to you straight, in my opinion, and that's why I saw that Michael Savage echoed probably a lot of what I was saying right now, and that's why I've always respected him as a broadcaster, because truthfully, so much of talk radio is just shilling for one party or another.
Yeah.
He's always a guy who's like, he's an Israel supporter, but he's like, it's absolutely wrong. You don't displace 1.2 million people after you bombed, their region. And the reason that we're at war is because they took hostages over there. People who just were going to a music festival. Yeah. We're not at war. At least we weren't presented that Israel was at war to rebuild Gaza. This is almost like, don't let a crisis go to waste. Let's rebuild the whole region. And it's, if it's
it
pretty
was
outrageous to me.
Well, I'll just look on it in the adjusting world, the bricks and mortar, the black and white of it. I don't think it's possible. How is he going to do it anyway? It's not possible. When I texted, said this is a freaking pipe dream. There's no way. There's no way. How do you displace it? Where are you going to put them? And you said, well, they're going to go to countries that don't want it. Logistically, I don't think it's capable. I don't think it's possible at all. So let's just put that out there. Sometimes that's the easiest answer, just to stop it all, because it's not feasibly, physically possible, financially possible, just with not just moving the people. People aren't going to just go. They're just going to say, you're going to go to Egypt. You're going to go to Jordan. It doesn't work that way. They're not just going to be peaceful in that way. You start moving people. Well, guess what happens? Then we're going to have a war again. We're going to have a lot of terrorist activities. We're going to have car bombs going off. We're going to have IEDs going off. It's the norm. For those that have spent time in Baghdad and Fallujah, have spent time in Kandahar or the Helmand province or the Hindu. That's what happens when you start moving people and trying to take them out of their homes. They will fight back. They're going to, regardless. And that is already a place where a lot of fighting goes on continually. So do you not think that that's not going to happen, because they're already prepared for that? So again, I don't think it's going to happen, because I don't think it's just realistically possible. It lacks the fifth principle of patrolling. It lacks common sense. That just on a face value, with me looking at it, trying to just maintain some sense of objectivity. The other parts of it is, I agree with Ian, is there doesn't need to be a clearing out of one ethnicity or one populace. No, it's always been that. Leave it alone. Now, granted, there's fighting, and that is a place that been for years where the terrorists do use some of their do planning, do training. I don't know if the training, but they start a lot of their activities out of there. I don't think you're ever going to stop that. You're just not. It's not going to happen. And clearing it out, trying to clear it out, you're just going to proliferate it more. So it's going to be a lot more deaths, a lot more problems than they're going to solve. I get the gist of where Netanyahu's coming from. I don't condone it, but we just want to make this, because if we have it all Israeli, then it'll be safe for everyone. That's what I'm trying to think.
That's always been his plan. I mean, he's basically said that many times.
But that's not a realistic. That's not realistic of how it is right now. It's not going to happen without creating more. And you're going to create violence against other Jews around the world by doing. I
agree. And the thing is, we, right, as Israel supporters, have criticized Palestine supporters when they say this: from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which basically means this is all going to be our land, and you guys could go live in the river for all we care. Well, you're doing the exact same thing. Yeah. And I think, truthfully, I know people don't want to hear this if they're Israel supporters, but it's like both sides have very much been brainwashed that, like, the other side is completely irredeemable and they should have nothing to do with this land. And it's,
Well,
I don't know, man. As someone who tries to be reasonable, and by the way, if people are like, well, what's your solution? I don't have any solution. This is why I'm not running for prime minister of Israel, but I have a podcast and I could say this just sounds ridiculous to me. And until you fix this whole VA backlog, you rebuild all these parts of America, you fix our healthcare system for like everyday Americans, we have sound money again. Like, I don't want to worry about building other regions. We all criticize nation building. That sounds like exactly what this is.
That is your solution, and that's a great solution right there. Is I've always said, leave it alone. Just leave it the hell alone. We got stuff we need to do here. We do. We need to help the people of California. We need to help the people that are still in North Carolina that still don't have their houses from these two hurricanes. People forgot about all that. I haven't, because I'm still knee deep in it every freaking day, trying to fight with the National Flood Insurance Program and FEMA to get people paid for their houses they've completely lost. There's a lot of things that we could be doing here with that money, because there will be a lot of money spent to do that we need to put back in here. And yeah, securing the border is another one. That money could go there. The fires in Hawaii, did we forget that? You mentioned that. Ohio, did we? And that was a great point. Did you guys forget about that? What we did, we need to fix things up there. Just our own infrastructure, that money can be spent better here, is a solution. It doesn't mean that we're taking a side. It means we're saying, hey, dudes, we ain't got the money. We ain't got the funds. You're gonna have to fucking figure it out for yourselves. In the meantime, we've got our own problems that we got to deal with, right? And that is a solution. That is a very reasonable solution. And it's not a cop-out solution. Because it is. I'm agree with you. It's like, once we get these things figured out here in our country, we're set. All right, now we'll come and address. And maybe by that time, both you sides will have found some common sense. Probably not. But at least both maybe will have found some way where there is now an inroad where both can live there. And will you always be peaceful? No, guys, it's not kumbaya. It's not always going to be peace. It's not. Don't care where you're at. You go to neighborhoods and you have different groups in different neighborhoods. It's not always going to be peace. It's just people are people. But you still don't totally eradicate. And that's what you're doing by displacing them. You're eradicating them. You're getting them out of there for someone else. And I'm glad you said that. You hit it right on the head. Netanyahu, you're doing the same thing that the people that wanted to eradicate you and throw you all in the sea are doing. It's the exact same thing. So do two wrongs. My mom used to say, it still works. It still applies as they do two wrongs make a right. No, it doesn't. But in the meantime, y'all go figure that shit out. We got stuff we need to get done here in America. And if I was a SecDef, Hegseth, where are you, man? Come on, but you got to put your 2 cents in here, because if you don't think that your soldiers are going to be over there doing and mopping this up and going to get you sucked into this, you're wrong. And especially the special operations community and shit, they may even be there right now.
I don't know. I mean, and like I said, there's still hostages over there, including American hostages. And truthfully, look, I cannot speak for any of the families of hostages. I don't personally know them. Many of whom are here in New York, though. Some are here on Long Island, the families. And I would think, truthfully, it's extremely disrespectful to their family members that while we still have people over there, some of them probably dead, and the families just want their remains, quite honestly, that we're talking about rebuilding an entire region before we get all these people back. I don't think that the family members care about rebuilding Gaza. They just want their family members home and safe.
Well, and of course they do, and that's human. Who wouldn't? I would, if I would. My father and my son. I hope he doesn't go the route I do. I will love him if he does, but both of my sons and my daughter, I hope they stay out of that route, so I don't have to worry about him. That's my selfish 2 cents there. But if I was a family member, yeah, I would too. And let me put it this way to you, powers that be that want to go and displace and want to just level that place down. Do you not think for a second, seen it? Know it's going to happen, that when you start to displace these people and there will be violence that takes place, do you not think for a second that those hostages will not be killed? They will. They're going to be. They're no longer an asset. They're not going to be utilized for anything. They're dead. So you're basically signing their death warrants. Is that something? Again, this is where the SecDef needs to step in and say, because this is a military operation, whether you like it or not, and it's gonna turn into one, and even a bigger one if we go in there and if we try to just take that place over, mow it down, and as far as level it now, it's pretty much leveled from this a lot of the pictures I've
Yeah, and that's
seen.
what Trump has
You
said.
know,
Like
it's
he's
pretty much leveled already. But
yeah,
those hostages, they're done, and you're going to have that blood on your hands if that happens. If this comes to fruition and Trump does what he says he is going to do along with Netanyahu. And I'm agree with you. I never really trusted Netanyahu. I mean,
yeah. I don't at all.
I don't think this, there's no, I think this isn't a good move at all. This is a terrible decision. And for those of y'all that are saying, oh, you back terrorists, you back Hamas, you back as eat dog shit. Y'all know that I don't, but
Yeah,
you
it's
also
so
have to make
well.
common
It's
sense
the Israel
decisions.
situation has always been really crazy, right? And I could even speak as like an
Yeah.
American Jew who's been to Israel that for some reason, man, people are just so set in their ways that they can't move 1 inch. And for some reason, America is not like that. In that, thank God. Like I feel like if I criticize something going on in one sector, you're not going to say you're not a patriot and get the hell out of the country. Like, there's
No.
plenty of people who hate America who should get out of the country. But like, if I disagree with something here or there, like I think
Yeah.
we have as divided as we are, it's not as crazy as over there, where like if you give an inch to one side,
Yeah.
yeah, you're standing with the terrorists. You're standing. No, I've always said they should go after the people responsible for taking these hostages, get those hostages out of there. But this is a whole new thing that they're proposing. No
Yeah.
one signed up for this.
No, and they are going. I guarantee you, the special ops community and the IDF and their special services, their special forces are still going after those people. Guarantee it. And we don't need to know about that. That's one thing that it doesn't need to be in the news, but it's happening. I promise you, just from being around that so long, that Americans don't stop looking for Americans. They get left behind if you're in Benghazi. I mean, that
Yeah.
happens everywhere. But the guys on the ground, they are never going to stop looking. I guarantee those ops haven't stopped. But
If they're
this will
still
make,
alive, I mean, it's
well, they're
been a
going to
year
get,
and a half, and people forget like they kidnapped babies. They didn't
yeah.
just kidnap members of the IDF. Actually, most of them aren't. I mean, they just kidnap people going to a music festival. They kidnap people on kibbutzes who just want to like live their life. These are not. They have nothing to do with the military or the
Well, I
government.
would like to think that they're still out there looking for maybe not everybody, but certain people that are sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease sort of thing. Those family members that are out there yelling and hey, we need to find and they're pushing their congressman and it does work, guys. That does work. That there still are units, and maybe I'm seeing it a half full, or maybe I'm just remembering how we used to be. But I would like to think that there's still troops and there's still special units, whether it be the DevGru or Delta or a task force that are joined with the FBI HRT teams and that they're out there still looking for people. I would like to think that, and maybe that's the old school way of thinking that a lot of us have. But brother, you might be right. Maybe it's not going on anymore. I don't know. I'm totally removed from that
I just
whole.
don't know who's alive or dead. I mean, we know some of them were killed. We'll
Yeah,
see what happens. But
yeah,
yeah, that's my take on that. You mentioned Pete Hegseth and the border, which actually can get us into this next thing. The fact that Pete Hegseth visited the border, I actually think is a really good thing.
that's a good thing.
And
Yeah.
I didn't realize this, but from what I'm reading, it was a very rare move for the SecDef to visit the border. So I think it's like taking a stance that we are going to send military personnel to the border. And that's probably what we should be doing. There is an invasion going on at the border. We do need to use manpower over there. And that's exactly what our military should be used for right now. It's probably the biggest threat to America right now, I would say.
Texas has some monstrous reserve units. They've got a lot. They've actually got some really sound guard and reserve units that are from former active duty guys that are former Rangers, former Special Forces, former Delta that are now, they're finishing up their careers or it's just time to be at home. So, but they still want to serve, and these guys are top notch. I worked with some of them in Iraq. A lot of them were tab. They were Ranger tab. They'd been to school, which we'd say been to Ranger school. So to say that we don't have adequate personnel down there, especially from the state of Texas, that's completely wrong, man. We got a lot, and I agree. Now it's just the rules of engagement. I don't think people are they're missing that point. You can stand them on a line on the out a wall, but if they can't have use the proper force to stop people coming through, they're just going to walk right through them, figuratively and literally. So I guess my next question would be, well, what's the rules of engagement now down there? Or do they have the ability to shoot? And if they do, how well trained are the people that are down there? I guess just gave kudos to a lot of them down there, but there are some that probably need to be trained a little bit better on when to shoot, when not to shoot, what sort of force escalation to use. And people forget about that too. They just like, hey, we're just going to put a guy in a uniform there. Criminals aren't stupid. I mean, if they can walk right by him, they're going to walk right by him if there's not any force allowed to be used. But you also just can't go guns free and say, if you see somebody coming across the border, you can shoot them. So I think the question now becomes, which you're right, this is the right step. That's awesome. You're going to have your guys down there, SecDef, lead from the front, man. You got to check on your people, make sure that you've got a good lay of the land so you know how to distribute them, or at least know how to give your operation orders to your commanders of how to distribute your people. Now, the next step is, what are the rules of engagement? We need to know that. They need to know that. And they have to have good, realistic rules of engagement so they can deal with threats, protect themselves, but not so that it does turn into a combat zone where it's just, you see somebody coming across the border, a woman with her kid, and you take a shot at them. That ain't right either. So I guess that's the next step. But I'm happy with what's going on, but there's so much more to it. And being in an area where there was a lot of shoot and don't shoot. We had Slatton on, Nick was on.
Yeah.
And there's a war zone, and he got thrown in prison for defending himself. Well, there is a shoot and don't shoot policy there, or rules of engagement, that wasn't really set in stone for them, which didn't give them proper direction to what they could and could not do. At least that's from my opinion, my information I've collected from others that have worked on those contracts in that time period. And also with myself working for the State Department, where just because a car was rumbling up on me and I'm standing there, I can't shoot the people inside of it. I wrote about that in the Patriots Creed and Ranger Way a couple, and it was hard to do, but that is something you have to look at when you're going to go stand guard, is that you got to know when to take that weapon from safe to semi, and if the switch is on, flip that switch on. But you also got to know when to not do that because it's not the right time, and that is something that I think the media really will miss. They won't get any of that until something bad happens, till a bad shoot happens, or a soldier dies because they didn't shoot, because the rules of engagement were so hindering, they couldn't make that decision and they got killed, because the cartels don't give a shit. There's no ruling; they're just shooting. So I know I went down a rabbit hole a little bit there, but we need to look at that. We got the first part, and this is the easy part. Now it's, what can our soldiers do at that border to stop the illegals coming through? What are they able to do? And it has to be something hard-nosed, but it can't be something that's sadistic, where they're just killing people randomly left and right because they're running through an imaginary wall, which I'd love to have I think you and I both were like that. I wish we had a wall the whole way, but again, something
I think that's the goal.
I do. I would love that to be the answer, but we're so far into debt. Do we have that kind of fund to build something like that? That's a lot of money.
I mean, I would hope so, but it's just like when you hear this idea of we're going to rebuild the entire Gaza Strip. Yeah, that money could be used to build a lot more. I mean, I would think it costs a hell of a lot more money than building a border wall. This always happens, man. It's like all this money sent to Ukraine, and then we're saving all this money apparently with this whole Department of Government Efficiency. Okay, use that money for the border. Like, use this money for things that are constitutionally called for, and protecting the borders. That's huge. What the country's all about. And
that's right. Hey, President Trump, that's what you ran on, my man. That's the big thing to you, and you have the opportunity. I completely agree with you. Why are we entertaining Gaza when that money needs to go here to the border, to rebuild, to protect, and to help out those that were displaced because of natural disasters or man-made disasters like that arson. That's what started the fires out there, was arson, guys. And
I don't know if
But
it started. I think it's supplemented from what I've
do you think
seen.
I've heard both. I guess yeah, and I heard they caught a guy with a flamethrower that was, but
Yeah,
then I
I think
also
it may have
heard
been
that.
after though. I
So do
think.
you think it was just like a Smokey the Bear? If somebody had a fire and they didn't put it out, and
No, no, no.
embers
I
burned?
think there were massive fires, and then I think there were people who took advantage and caused even more fires because it was like they're not going to arrest us for this. I don't know who those
Shocker.
perpetrators are, but I mean, we know that that area is prone to wildfires. It's not like it was
Yeah,
surprising that that just
yeah.
happened. And then I think that people just, it's just like how you see looting when there's chaos. I think there were people who caused arson during this chaos.
Yeah, and you gotta have just seriously, you gotta be the biggest scumbag, to
Yeah.
go out there and do that kind of crap. Well, yeah, I lit a fire when I was 5 and burned about 100 acres, but I
Really?
didn't
A
do it. Oh
hundred
no,
acres?
we burned. There's a
Jeez, at
story. We
5?
we were 5 or 6. We were living in Alamosa, Colorado, and me and my buddy Joey Caruth, love that guy. I still remember his name. My best friends played all the time. We're country kids. We're playing out in the country.
That's
We
more than
were
playing.
no, I know. Well, yeah, it was when we still had access to lots of matches, and it's the Wild West days growing up. And yeah, we had some cattails. We're gonna light them on fire because Halloween was coming up, and we wanted to go as monsters, and we are gonna have these torches from these things that are big cattails, and they got like big bulbs on them. They look like big hot dogs on a stick, is what they look. We thought we could light them, so we're out there trying to light them. You can't light them. They don't burn. But we had a lot of it was fall, so everything was drying out in southern Colorado, which is like the high desert there in Alamosa. And I turn around and we have tons of matches. So we're lighting stuff, and Joey lit this whole big brush on fire, and it just took off. And I remember I was shitting myself, and we ran back to the houses about a half mile away because we're out in the country in the bushes. And I was like, we lit a fire, and dude, it was just gone. 100 acres.
You were
We're
a giant troublemaker as a kid. I mean, if you told me you did this at 13, I would say, what, 5? What?
no, we were 5 or 6. Yeah,
That's
maybe
insane,
7,
man.
maybe 7. And
I
yeah,
mean,
I
could you
got it.
picture your kid doing this?
No, just did. We used to go and throw bottles on the highway. We go
You
living in
were, yeah,
Panhandle,
you were
and we
a
throw bottles on
definite
the highway because
troublemaker, man.
we wanted to see cars, their tires hit, and we wanted to see like the movies. Dude,
Jeez.
we were young. I was a young heathen, me and Joey,
Yeah.
but we got caught. The sheriff caught us, but it's a small town. Everybody knows everybody. He goes, "You're Jim Perano's kid, aren't you?" "Yes, sir." "Oh, dude, I got my ass whooped. I got beat both times, and not beat like bad, like child abuse beat. I'm talking. I got my butt tanned both times, and then I had to go apologize to the fire. My mom made me go to the fire department when I was 5 and apologize to them for lighting the fire. But anyway,
I gotta be honest,
anyway,
I've never done anything even remotely that crazy, man. Not even close.
yeah, I was a little hell. I was a hellion all the way through, dude. Till I got in the army. I was even in college and high school. But
Wow.
yeah. What the fuck were we even talking about? I got way off
No, we were
track.
talking about the wildfires.
Oh, the
I mean,
wildfires.
at one
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
at what point do you think you because I know nowadays you're very big on Christianity and
yeah.
being like Christ. Like at what age were you like, this is not what Christ
Yeah.
would do?
No, when we were always went to church, dude. Oh, always. But
Yeah,
I was
but
one of those kids that
obviously
fought.
it didn't
It didn't,
impact you at that
do the
young of
thing.
an age.
Well, we weren't really, because remember where we were at, there weren't houses anywhere. So really, to me, that was our playground. But I also didn't think Joey was going to light the whole brush on fire. We're going to light some cattails. We couldn't get him to light. We were starting to head back, and all of a sudden he just lights it. I'm like, what the hell? No, I wasn't innocent in it. I was out there lighting stuff too. But we just it's one of those things when you're that age, you don't realize how fast things spread. I've never lit a fire before. We used to light Chico bushes to clear the canals. That's what you do in the country. You got to burn stuff to clear the canals to get the new stuff to grow. But I didn't realize it, and I never lit anything on fire again. No, I don't think I did. Maybe I did, but the Christian part of it for me really where I got God was always in my life, always, because I was raised that way. I was one of those kids that hated going to Sunday school, but I went because I had to, because my mom's Mexican and you go to church. That's just how it's with Mexican mom. My dad's very strong in his faith too. But really where I really became, I don't want to say a believer, I always believe, but the army, The Army. It really did.
Yeah.
It was the Army. It was when I got to that age. So, and I think that's why I'm so strong in it now is because my parents gave me a good base, but they let me flounder. And luckily I found my way. You always have to
Yeah.
find your
I
path.
just
And I
mean the
found
reason I bring it up is because truthfully, right? If I think because I've met people who like were raised super religious, which I was not. And I think if you have like that fear of God at a young age, you're not throwing bottles at cars going by, right? I mean, I think it's fair to
no,
say.
well, it got to in that when I was that age. No, it wasn't like I was sinning or anything. I'm just a kid having fun. I guess I didn't equate the two. I was like, this can't be sin. I'm enjoying this is awesome. Hey, let's load these bottles clashing on the highway and cars drive over it, or we're out there and I'm egging, just the normal stuff too, egging houses, causing petty vandalism to car. I guess I just never thought I was doing anything that bad. I knew it was wrong because I knew I was going to get in trouble for it if I got caught. That's why you just didn't get caught. But I never thought like, man, I'm going to hell for this. I just never equated it at that age because I was just being a kid. And that's what kids do. And growing up in an area that was lower, it was lower middle class. Alamosa wasn't high. A lot of migrant workers, so you got a lot of Mexican kids running around. Then you got a lot of redneck white kids causing trouble, man, and that's what you did. That was just what we did. And but yeah, looking back on it now, yeah, I was a little shit, dude. And that's why I pray
Because
for
I just think of
forgiveness
how
every
you
day.
are with your son, and your son is like an angel from what I know, right?
Mike said they are, man. I don't know what happened. I wasn't definitely wasn't for me.
Because I've really briefly saw your son. I never even had a conversation with him, but just seeing him, I know that your son is not doing that stuff.
No, he's a great kid. He's just actually all my kids are very well behaved. Maybe it was good I was deployed all the time. So maybe
Yeah.
my youngest boy, he's gonna turn out like me because I was around too much. Maybe I was around him a lot more. I don't know, man. That's a damn good question because I was raised right. I wasn't. No, I had discipline. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was a college. He was a college university football coach, but he also that's university PhD. You got to teach too. Um, I don't know. My grandpa and grandmother were staunch disciplinarians too. I got my butt whooped by my grandma if I did something wrong. I don't know, man. That's why I always equate. Is it really upbringing or is it genes? Or maybe a combination of the two. And I'm thinking with me, it was a combination of the two. My upbringing didn't really catch up to my genes till I was joined the army. And then finally and yeah, really. That's a damn good question. We need to have somebody on the show to talk about that because I want to know.
Yeah, we'd have to have like a psychologist or something.
Fuck
But
yeah.
anyway, we still have some more news stuff to get into. Before we do, we always talk about Fort Scott Munitions on this show. Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, but you'll get the best deal through us when you go to fsm.com. You use the promo code BattleLine, and you'll get 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the BattleLine podcast. That's 15% off your ammo, other products on the site, select other products on the site. They have great merch too. But Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Kris Paranto, BattleLine Tactical, and the BattleLine podcast. All right, we were talking about the border. I thought this was great. As many of you know, Morgan Luttrell, the brother of Marcus Luttrell, also a Navy SEAL. Actually, funny enough, speaking about genes, right? The fact that these two guys go through the highest levels of special ops and become Navy SEALs.
Are Morgan and Marcus, I should know this, but I don't. Are they twins? They're not twins, right?
I think they are.
I think they are twins.
Maybe I'll Google. Let's see.
Yeah, Google that up. But
they look really alike. I think they are. Marcus.
I probably have been told this, or I may even have met. I know I've met Marcus.
Yeah, it is twins.
And we've talked. Marcus
identical twins.
Actually, I went to that premiere when I was invited to the premiere in New York City when was before anybody knew about Benghazi when Lone Survivor came out, and that's their after party, and met him and talked to him, and we've talked a few times. But yeah, I never met Morgan, and said I didn't even know he had a brother until a few years after when I just saw it on the news. I had no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, the fact they're
that's
both
cool
Navy
though.
SEALs. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
so
cool.
as many of you guys know, Morgan is now a congressman, and he has introduced the new bill. A Navy SEAL veteran turned congressman is fighting to pull back the curtain on the growing threat of Mexican drug cartels and other organized crime groups, introducing legislation Thursday aimed at providing Americans with transparency about the dangers they pose. Thanks to the Biden, and this is a quote, thanks to the Biden administration's open border policies, dangerous cartels have been running our borders and profiting from human and drug trafficking. That's from Morgan Luttrell. So he's introduced the Cartel Act, which mandates that the U.S. Customs and Border Protection report whether individuals listed in the terrorist screening database were released into the U.S. You'll read more on Fox News. Look, I haven't read the whole bill. I never read bills. I'm not a member of Congress. But unless there's something else in this bill I don't know about, this seems extremely common sense. I mean, it has several people backing it, but I think they're mostly all Republicans. I mean, I would hope this is something that could get bipartisan support because there's no reason this shouldn't have bipartisan support. And it sounds like an extremely common sense bill to me.
I'm shocked that it already hasn't been happening. I'm serious. I really like, are you shitting me? How is this
Yeah.
not
But then when you
already
hear the
going
stuff
on?
Jason Piccolo tells us, I go, I'm
Yeah.
not shocked.
Yeah, but he's right on the cartels running and controlling the border, and there's just money talks, man, and it's sad to say, but it does, and people are bought off. People can compromise, will compromise their integrity for medals, for accommodations, and for money, and I've seen it for all three. I've seen it happen. So, man, it's sad that you have to have a bill for to protect, the United States of America to protect bad people coming in. Really? You have to do that? So I'm glad he's doing it. I said I was surprised when you sent this. I was like, how does this not already going on? But obviously it isn't. So we get down to that. With we see it now, we need to see we have the bill. What are the rules? What are the engagement rules for law enforcement? What can they do? That's what I hope the bill says. The bill says, what are they able to do if they find one, if they find a terrorist, if they find a group, somebody that's labeled in this group? And from what I've seen, it seems
But I
like
think
they're
this is
doing
more
the
of a
right thing.
database. That's what I think this is.
Well,
Because
we don't have a database on this already? I can't believe
Because, yeah,
that.
it says the legislation mandates transparent tracking of individuals associated with cartels who have attempted illegal crossings. So this is, yeah, it's a terrorist screening database. So
Wow.
I think that would be further down the
Wow.
line. This is just
Wow.
mandating that they report whether these individuals are in this database. Yeah.
Man, well, I can't believe that's not already going on. It just blows my mind. Just where you come in, but you're right. I do remember Jason talking about that, where they would just let people go. And I asked him, I said, "You mean you don't just get their name and screen them right there when you apprehend so to know if they're a bad guy or not?" He goes, "No, we don't do that." That is just mind blowing to me, especially being in countries like Iraq where we have biometric set up. We actually control that in the airport. The CIA does, where they're tracking individuals, terrorists in other countries. We're tracking terrorists in other countries, but we can't do it here.
Although according to Sarah Adams, the last episode you weren't on,
I would
we
not.
gave all of that up according to her, and we don't have all that information
Holy
anymore.
shit. Well, maybe I'm glad
Because
I
that's why she
wasn't
was
on.
saying to me that the TSA needs to do all that now. You really want to put the TSA in charge of, that?
Buddy, this is all mind-boggling to me, man. Common sense stuff that should have been going on forever. And you're not violating anybody's rights. You're not violating a criminal's rights. A criminal has no freaking rights. You're not violating a terrorist's rights. A terrorist has no right. And if you're a gang member, technically you're probably both. You're both of the above. You're a terrorist and you're a criminal. So great, good on you, Morgan. Get it through. And then now let's move to the next step. Once we do get these biometrics done, once we do get these screen done, and we find these guys, what are you going to do? And I did see a few of the gang members. They're shipping them to Guantanamo. I think is what I saw on the new.
Yeah, the hardest of which, yeah.
And that's freaking awesome. Hell yeah. Get
Yeah.
them out. Get them into Guantanamo. Got a place for them, man. It's already built for you. Already got air conditioning and heat. And got some food for you, send them up there. And that'd be a good person. Bring on Jeremy Mitchell since he worked at Guantanamo.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But
And we still haven't. After
yeah, we need
278
to. And
episodes, we should
he
at
could
some
tell
point.
us. He did.
I've always said we should have him in studio though with you. I think that would make sense.
That, you know what?
He's there several times a year. So
yeah, when he comes down for a course, can we teach one? We'll do one in the
tell
studio.
me and we'll do it.
Yeah, but I am of complete agreement. Securing and making America safer is always, as long as again we're not displacing people and sending them to other countries or putting them in
other than if their
camps.
country they came from.
Yeah. Well, that's not displacing. You're just sending them home. That's just sending them back. They're displaced by being here.
Yeah.
Or putting them in internment camps. No, get them the hell out of here, man. Bye. And if you're a criminal and we catch you, throw them in Guantanamo. Then teach it. There has to be some sort of repercussion that dissuades people from coming over and doing something illegal. I never lit a fire again and created arson because my mother whooped my ass with a wooden spoon. There was a cause and effect. I got the proper course of action taken against me because I did something wrong. The problem is we don't do that. We don't.
But just to, I guess, add to what you're saying, right? When you said if they do something illegal, it's like the worst of which you're going to Guantanamo, because if you came here illegally, you did something illegal.
You did something.
We're not sending over people who like work at the grocery store and are here illegally to
You're
Guantanamo.
right. No, you're right. There's levels, and that's what you have to get deeper. We're in a podcast, guys. We're not sitting around deciding what we're going to do.
Yeah, no, I'm just,
But it's like, there is, of course, there's levels of you do this wrong, this is the repercussion. You do this wrong, this is the repercussion, and that has to be set. And I'm sure Morgan and his constituents, if they're not, they should be giving it to somebody, whether it's somebody from ICE, whether it's somebody from the Border Patrol, whether it's somebody within the Justice Department that sets those standards up, which we all do. That's why we have felonies. That's why we have misdemeanors. That's why we have different sentences for different crimes. So it's the same thing. But there has to be some
tracking.
Yeah. There has to be something. But the first step, you're right. The tracking. Now what? What happens now when we're tracking? Are we just tracking them and just to say that we are, or are we tracking them?
I think just the fact that people are being like recycled at the border, like Jason said, that they're going to come back, and then we could say we know who this guy is. We're on to them. I mean, we'll see. It sounds like common sense legislation to me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I want to hit this next one because I thought this was huge this past week. And I know like you had a big reaction to this. I did too. The FBI has turned over details of 5,000 agents who worked on the January 6th case. And according to at least the stuff that I researched, this is literally between like 1/3 and half of the agents that the FBI has all working on this one thing. And, I think January 6th is crazy because it's become such a partisan issue. I think we both have kind of like avoided talking about it on this podcast because it gets people so heated and people are in one camp or the other, much like the Israel situation we were talking about. Like, I think it's okay to acknowledge that there were police officers severely beaten there by people who absolutely should be punished. Like you do not assault police officers, bottom line. And none of those people should be pardoned. And I actually don't know if those are the type of people that were pardoned. But then you see people like Brandon Strzok, who leads Walk Away. He wasn't even there. He gave a speech outside the building, and then he gets charged with stuff. Enrique Tarrio, he wasn't even in the same state, and they were putting him away for life. Like stuff like that is absolutely crazy to me. So I think when you talk about January 6th, you have to talk about it respectfully for the people that were the officers that were hospitalized, things like that. Ashley Babbitt was killed by officers there. But I think you have to, do I think 5,000 agents should have been assigned to this and that they were going after people who weren't even there? Like I remember they demonized Alex Jones, for example, when Alex Jones is on video telling people with a megaphone, do not go inside the Capitol. He was a hero that day. And I know that like that may sound crazy to some people because a lot of people really have really negative opinions about him.
He did. It was great what he did. It was awesome what he did.
No, on that particular day, he said like, this is what they want us to do. They want us in the Capitol. And I am one of those people who does look at January 6th as like one big honeypot operation where, we do know that there were feds there. and I do think they egged some people to go inside the building.
Yeah.
Some of the people who were like walked inside the building, we have the footage of stuff like that. Some people, when they went inside the building, were told to leave, and they peacefully left, and they still got charged with stuff. So yeah, I mean, I would throw the book at people who assaulted police officers, but that's not the majority of the people, actually. So, and yeah, 5,000 agents, it sounds completely unreasonable.
Were they fighting it to, and if I read that right, were these agents, they're fighting to get their names not put out in public? Basically, they're saying, no, don't get us out there. If you do have us, we don't want our names out there for people to know that we did something wrong, I guess culpability. I guess they're not looking to be culpable, because that's where I was trying to get
But
out.
are they? If I don't know, but I mean, are they? If they do anything wrong? If they work for the FBI and they were signed to work in this case, I would have a problem with the department itself.
The minimal, the minions, the lower levels, no. The uppers this was a political operation more than anything else. Yeah, they do, because they know better. It's like, this is obviously a partisan operation. This has nothing to do with protecting the Capitol. This has to do with we're trying to, and that, correct if I'm wrong, this is what I got out of the reading. I'm not sure if I interpreted it correctly, but that's what I saw from the uppers up top that start the operation. That wasn't necessarily to protect the Capitol because of rioters, or because there was going to be a mass protest. There's going to be people overrunning it, terrorists overrunning the Capitol. It was, these are Trump supporters. Let's go after them. Let's set an example for them. Now the minions below, and I call them minions. I was a minion too, guys. I was a door kicker, trunk monkey, door licker, whatever you want to call it. But them, no, they're doing what they're told. I get that. I've been there, man. Sometimes you have to question it, but there are times that most time you can't, because you do love your job, and you're doing, and you do have faith that the people above you have your best interest, which in this case, I don't know if they did, but regardless, you don't know that. You want to go to work and you want to go home. So I would say the ones on the top, if it had something to do with politics, and which looking back at it now, I think it really did. Yeah, people should know who they are. They should be fired. They should be, whatever the worst things that they can be done to them illegally.
But that can't be the majority of 5,000 people.
No, you're right. You're right. And you're right. You're exactly right. And I agree with you on the other side too, with you assault law enforcement, you assault anybody.
Yeah,
that's a crime. Law enforcement, especially because they're uniform. That's our laws, and it should be that way.
I wish, I don't know why there's not a distinguishment there when we hear about this. Like, I do think, I don't know everyone who was pardoned, and it almost sounds like it was a blanket pardon of everyone. And I really think it would make more sense if Trump said nonviolent offenders, people who weren't even there, like Enrique Tarrio. They threw the book at that guy. And he wasn't even in the same state. I don't know, since when do you get like a life sentence or whatever it was, very close to that, for organizing a protest.
And that's where you guys are going to have to sit down and actually do your jobs. This is what's you're going to have to go through and do due diligence. You got to go through and everything, all the information, and you're going to have to actually take time, and it may take a few years, and to say, nope, this person didn't do anything wrong. Yep, this person did. Oh, but this person that didn't, who charged him? All right, let's see what's going on up here. What did they have? Did they have some other ulterior motive for Enrique? Like Enrique. No, he did nothing wrong. All right, let's go look at the judge who actually sentenced him. What was going on there? Is there something that politically drawn that they pull from this to make an example of this? Which that's illegal. That the judge should have something going wrong with it. Should have something negative happen to him. Negative being lose his job. Not negative as physically negative. I'm not condoning violence, guys, but losing your job, losing your what's it, judgeship, whatever the fuck you call it, man. But you got to. This blanket stuff, to me, that's the cop out. That's the easy way. No, you have to go through each individual.
By the way, that does worry me. I watched, like, for example, I don't know if you watched any of it. I was watching the confirmation hearings for Kash Patel. And I will give, like, I know people are not going to want to hear this, our audience, but like, I will give credit where it's due, even if it's a politician that I don't like. Adam Schiff was grilling Kash Patel and talking about how he had this song of the January 6th choir that raised money for January 6th. for people who were there on January 6th. And Adam Schiff was saying, like, do you gave money or helped people profit who assaulted police officers? And Kash Patel was not able to just say, no, we didn't do that. So what that says to me is that they didn't vet these people.
No,
because why would you purposely raise money for those people? I would raise money for someone like Enrique Tarrio or Brandon Strzok, who did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But if and that was problematic to me, man, because Kash Patel's a lawyer. He knows his stuff. Like, he would have been able to say, no, that's a lie. I didn't raise money for those people. And nowhere in that hearing did he say that. And I liked the majority of what Kash Patel said, but that was actually pretty troubling that he wasn't able to say, no, I didn't raise money for those people.
And that's just where you're trusting you're trusting the people that work for you to do your vetting and due process for you, and it didn't happen, or at least he doesn't confidently feel like it happened. And is it something that makes me worry about Kash Patel? No. What makes me doesn't make me worry at all. Just like, hey, dude, you got to do your own vetting. You got to double check your sources. You got to see where your money's going. And on Adam Schiff's case, Adam Schiff's a tool. I can't.
Yeah, but he wasn't wrong on that.
But he wasn't wrong asking him. No, and somebody that has been in DC a long time. Man, believe me, guys, I went head to head to him in closed doors on 2 select committees, and he's a tool. Just a big. I snapped that cotton swab looking dude's head off his neck.
You're not going to do that.
But I'm not going to do that. Secret Service. Okay?
You don't need
knock but he pissed me off enough sitting there in closed door settings. But I always got my jabs back in because he's always he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and a lot of times those guys leave themselves open because they don't think that us door lickers have any smarts ourselves. But speaking of that, just continuing on. Yeah, this questioning was great. That was a great question for Kash Patel. You do still need to answer that. And I don't know. I know you may not have answered it in that setting, but I do think you need to go back and find out what happened. If it was me, I would go leave. I'm like, damn, he got me. All right, let's go find out what happened and let's answer this damn question in a different set. We got to have an answer. So right now,
I think the answer is not what you want to hear, unfortunately.
Well, and that's the tough shit. That's, Kash, you need to answer this question, because by not answering it, you're basically claiming that you're guilty. In my opinion, at least answer the damn thing. We didn't know. We gave money. We didn't vet this person well enough. Our mistake. We won't make it again. I would accept that. I'll be quite honest. I would. But by not doing anything, you're not doing anything different than what we had before, guys. And what we've had year after year after year in the political offices. You got to answer it, even if it's the hard answer. What do we say with Jocko? Man, you got to own it, man. You got to own it. You got to own that. And if you made a mistake, you made a mistake. We're fucking human. But admit that mistake. I want to see a leader that says, you know what? You're right. We screwed up. That will never happen again. We've taken the steps to never. But
that's also the problem. I don't know if those people were pardoned, and I don't think that's okay. It shouldn't have been. It should have been a case by case pardon of who they were pardoning.
You're exactly right. No, you're exactly right. But that's too hard to do. That takes too much freaking work, doesn't it? Nobody's willing to work anymore to do that extra due diligence, even though that is completely necessary. And I completely agree with that. No more blanket bullshit. There's no way.
And the other thing about this story, I saw that Sarah Adams tweeted out about this 5,000 agents who worked on the January 6th case. And I believe, I could pull it up again, but I believe according to Sarah, she said when it came to Benghazi investigation, she's like, there were 4 to 5 agents at a time, at any given time, investigating Benghazi. She's saying you need 5,000 agents to investigate January 6th, which one person died, a Trump supporter, was killed by police. Ashley Babbitt. There were
terribly bad. It was a terribly bad shoot. That dude.
Yeah. There were other people I know who were killed late, officers.
Heart attack.
Some of whom committed suicide, which people found kind of suspicious. But other people feel like what they saw, they couldn't live with, type of thing. I don't know. But either way, one person, from what I've seen, actually died on that day, as opposed to what we saw in Benghazi, and that we have dozens or hundreds of terrorists still living. I don't know how many, and we assigned 4 to 5 agents at a time for that. That does not add up. That does not make any sense.
Well, that's politics, man. And that's why, again, up top, I think the people that were part of the January 6th investigation, those ones up top that did it for political reasons, the book needs to be thrown at them. The people on the ground, the ones working, no. I mean, you're doing what you're told. And in our case, that's straight up political. Obviously, it was. Obama was running for office. People forget during that time frame he wasn't ahead, and he may have even been behind Romney. I got to check, but in September of 2012 it was pretty damn close, and he had just given a speech that said Al-Qaeda. He said this verbatim: Al-Qaeda was on the run. We had just got attacked by Al-Qaeda. So this hugely political. And then also the Jake Sullivan, what's he the head of now?
I could look. I know that,
but he was in charge of.
Wasn't he the head of something under Biden?
He was one of the head guys. He's a big position under Biden, but during that time frame, he was part of the media.
He was
staff,
National Security Advisor up until last month.
And he was a big deal with ours about getting the story spin. He's the one that started to spin the story, that started to build that narrative. And nothing ever happened to him, man. And he was hugely responsible for that narrative of we're lying. Well, after we came out, those guys are lying. This is approach. This is what happened. And as we've seen, Jake Sullivan's a hugely partisan individual, has no scruples at all. So, buddy, it just goes to show that politics and who's in power are always going to push over integrity and getting the truth out there. And we're seeing it again. But until there is responsibility, and I said this to Trey Gowdy, I remember talking to him after we did the select committee. And I said to him, and I've said it on the show before, and I honestly believe this. I said, you need to make an example out of one of these people that are lying, that are congressmen, politician, the Secretary of State. If you make one example, they all will stop, because none of them want to go to prison. None of them want to look embarrassed, and none of them want to lose their money. And he didn't do it. And I still stand by this. If he would have made one example, and one of Jake Sullivan or somebody from CBS that started the story to begin with, or even Hillary Clinton, something would have happened to one, Patrick Kennedy, Charlene Lamb, something would have happened where one of them would have went to prison. I don't think we'd be having as many problems with all this lying that politicians get away with on a daily basis. I could be wrong. I probably am, but that was what I said to him in private in the base of the Capitol after our select committee hearing. And I don't think he fell on deaf ears. I just don't think there's a way to do it where he wouldn't have thrown himself on the sword and something would have come on him, because they've all got dirt on each other. That's why we're in this position where we're at. This is why we have 5,000 agents on January 6th and 5 agents on an actual terrorist attack where we lost. Kris Stevens, again, guys, was not some dilettante. That dude's a vice president. That's his level of rating within the State Department. Huge ambassador. There's different levels of ambassadorship. That dude he was up here, pinnacle, one of the top ambassadors in the State Department. That's monstrous. And he died. And it's like nobody remembers. Well, I shouldn't say
this
that.
audience remembers. Yeah.
This audience remembers. And I do think a lot of people actually are even seeing the story even more so now, and it's still out there. But I think people realize that would be like a Joe Biden dying. It would be like a Trump. I know Trump has got a huge following. Kris Stevens doesn't, but I'm talking about levels.
Yeah.
That's like when Trump, if he would have got assassinated, that is the same as Ambassador Stevens dying on that day. That dude that's a huge political figure in the international community as well, not just in the domestic community. And nothing came about it. Nothing, which that to me is still shocking. And I know Sarah, it's still shocking, and she can speak on it a lot better than I can, but it just blows our mind that nothing happened. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I agree with everything you're saying. I know the last thing that you wanted to cover, and I guess we are going to cover all of this, which is pretty cool. The last thing you wanted to cover was we had Kirk Spradley, KG Spradley on, and we did a Annex episode, which a lot of you guys really
informative,
enjoyed.
man. Yeah, it was really informative.
Very informative. Yeah. I feel like it was great getting someone, like I said, who could have been in the cockpit in either of those planes.
Both, really, yeah,
knows their stuff. So I guess you had further thoughts on the whole Black Hawk hitting the
I
commercial
just,
aircraft and the training situation.
I get what Kirk said because we did a little bit of like Kirk. I don't know if I agree with that training in that high traffic area. And he's like, well, we got to fly through there,
Yeah, he
so
said
they got to
you got to get your
learn.
training somewhere,
You
is
got
what
to
he
get your
said.
training somewhere, and we got to. I don't think people realize 100 feet sounds like a lot. It's not, guys, especially with two huge aircrafts coming. That is your 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 ability to air and not have a fatal accident. I know it's like this, dude. It really is. And I just still, it's still another mind-boggling thing. I keep thinking of freaking Blaze of Glory, where
Yeah.
Will Ferrell says mind-boggling, but it's mind-boggling to me is that in training, that possibility for error is minimal. 100 feet is nothing. I mean, think about it. You're talking two huge aircraft. If you've ever been around a Black Hawk, it's freaking just as big as that jet. It's monstrous. 100 feet. That is not. That's crazy. That's like me. And I told Ian, I said, guys, this sort of training equates to me as me coming into Ian's apartment and doing a live fire room clearing while he's in the house. That's the possibility of error is that. And we would never do that. Now, I get it. The training needs to come somewhere, but the collateral damage shouldn't be civilians. If you're going to train somewhere, do it on a base then. They got airport, they got it. Hey, they got runways too. And they got planes coming in and out. And because we sign up for that, I get that. The military, if there's an accident in training and somebody dies, guy died at Ranger School the year before I went. He froze to death, hypothermia, and people die in training. The military, we sign up our names on the dotted line. Those civilians didn't, and that's what bothers me. And I get that that might be a route that they have to go for dignitaries to evac them out, but really is that dignitary that one person because they're the Prince of Sudan or the Prince of Jordan or the Prince of Kuwait, that's worth more than 60 people that just want to go home? No, I don't think that's right. I think that's completely wrong. Um, so the training, what's your response to that, Tana? Well, you don't, that margin for error can't be there. If you're going to train in that area, what time was it? I can't remember. Do you
It
remember
was
what
at
time it
night.
was?
I don't
It
remember
was at
exact
night. Well,
time.
if it's going to be at night, then it needs to be in the early morning hours where there is low traffic, low airline traffic. There's nobody coming in and out. Or you change
There's
the
always
damn
someone coming in and out, though. It's DC.
it does lighten up just like highway traffic at nighttime, like morning time in the early morning.
Yeah.
There's less
I have to
traffic
see
there.
the exact time because I really
Yeah,
don't remember.
check it. But my real answer is that you change the route. That you don't do that route anymore. That margin for error is so minimal that you need to change the route. You mean you can't go around that airspace to wherever you need to go because the Prince of Kuwait needs to be somewhere quick? No,
Yeah, this
I
says it was
don't.
around 9 p.m. So I
Yeah,
mean that's prime.
yeah,
The
that's
thing
fine.
that so look, I thought it was a great discussion with Kirk, and I'm gonna be completely honest here, right? When it comes to this particular topic, whose expertise do I take, yours or Kirk's? Honestly, I'm gonna take Kirk. And what he said did make sense to me when he said we have to train in urban environments.
No,
And
I get that. I get that.
yeah,
It wasn't that. It was the
because
route
I'm
needs
just
to
thinking an
change.
urban environment, whether it's Detroit, whether it's New York City, whether it's Washington D.C., Baltimore, it's always going to have a
But
high civilian.
you're flying at 100 feet where all you can make is 100 foot mistake. That's nothing on with air, in my opinion.
But then where
Just
do they
from
train?
well,
If it has to be in an urban
no,
environment,
you can
that's
train, but just not on that route where you're coming underneath the flight path of the planes coming in. I can't. You mean you can't tell me you can't move that out here? So if they are 300 feet up, that plane is now at 800, and the chances of you hitting have just minimized. I'm just saying that
yeah. I
little
don't know. I don't
the little
know
deviation. Well, that's it.
because I
That's
feel
where I'm
like I
asking.
just feel like if Kirk was here, he'd have some explanation
I know, and
to whatever question you have that I don't
wish
have.
I wish I would have asked because to be honest, that's me in a
Text him.
nutshell.
He'll tell you.
No, I will. Like,
he's always texting. Yeah.
because Kirk and I would because it is something where he said, and I get that answer too. You do have to train to your highest levels. I got that. I get that. You do. I just think there could be little tweaks that could make it safer for people that have nothing to do with it. That's what bothers me. If it was military hitting military, we're training guys. That's just how it goes, man. But it's military hitting people that have nothing to do. They don't want nothing to do with it, and
Yeah.
that bothers me. And again, that's why I guess but I do think my analogy is correct. I'm comparing room clearing to somebody's house. The chances of me hitting you if I'm shooting a live fire is minimal by a foot. You're over there, but I got to be that accurate for real. I got to be able to hit maybe this far from you, but I shouldn't do that during training, at least not in your house. But we'll go military. We'll okay, because there have been and there has range of a time when I was there, one of the privates did die. He got shot during a training exercise in Regensburg. But we're room clearing. That's just live fire. It just shit happen. I don't say shit happens, but it did. That's training. No charging. I mean, the training was, of course, there was a review and there was investigation, and everybody was found. They did it right. It was an error, bad mistake. It happened. I don't like it when I guess this bothers me a lot because it's civilians that died that had nothing to do with the training. But I do get where Kirk's coming from, and I do get where you're coming from. You got to train
Where
somewhere.
I'm coming from is just I
but
trust
you do.
Kirk, I guess.
And I trust him too. I trust him with my life, man. Literally. But in this case here, I'm like, dude, then we need to move the training, push it a little bit. We need to, so the margin for error cannot be that little on training exercise. Even an extra 100 foot, man. Can you push it out just a little farther? Maybe on the edge of the river. And that's something where I would, if it was me, and if I was the SecDef, that's what I would do. I would sit down and I'm like, okay, let's get all the variables here. Where of our lanes? Where's the air traffic? Where are the heights? What are the highest and lowest? All right, can we push it out 100 feet and give that airplane another 100-foot clearance? That would have been all it needed to save the day. And that's what I'm looking at. So, yeah, I guess it bugged me because I just looked and I'm like, man, that just seems too close just to be okay with it.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm on both sides of the fence because I do believe in hard training too. I do. I'm a proponent of that. Big proponent of that.
No, I get your take on this. And then the interesting thing actually in terms of that, for people who watched that Annex episode, was we recorded that Friday afternoon. And then Harold edited it by Friday night, and I got it up Friday night. And right before I got it up in Philadelphia, we saw a plane crash that looked like a missile, and it looked like, the explosion was insane. And I know your reaction was like, something is going on here.
Well, I did. I was like, what in the hell? Because that don't happen, man.
All in the same week, yeah.
All in the same week. And now I did. My spidey sense tingled a little less when I found out it was a private jet and not another commercial jet. A commercial jet, man, there's not that I'm taking anything away from that, but there are different sets of rules a bit. As a passenger, we'd have to have Kirk on because he does both.
Have Kirk on every week.
Yeah, Kirk on for that. But still, it's like, whoa, that doesn't happen in America. It doesn't happen really. Oh, I mean, I don't see everywhere in the world, but you don't even hear that very often, just everywhere in the world. And when I did see the video, bro, that looked exactly that's what a missile looks like when you catch it and it's coming down, boom. That I thought it was a missile. It's like, so I don't know if you did. I did. I went straight Alex Jones. I went, dude, there's no way. That's a freaking missile. And they're covering it up because it looked exactly how it came in, the speed and the angle. That was a missile. I mean, it just can't, the plane must have just completely failed and stalled out but it didn't even come straight down. It came in at an angle like that where a plane, you just thought it would have nosedived. So, but hey, man, they said it was a plane. So I guess it's a plane, but gosh dang, that thing looked so much resembled a missile
I would think they found whatever was remained of it. I mean, especially in this day and age, if there was something nefarious, people would kind of report on that by now, especially in the world of X. I mean, people are going to post here, this is what I found. Speaking of which, and speaking of conspiracy theory, this was ridiculous. And I know Sarah said the exact same thing. And this does show that sometimes people, I don't know, are just always looking for something ulterior. So there was someone who recorded this in real time. I don't know if you saw this one right outside of a fast food restaurant. It seemed like they went through a drive-through and they're recording, and then they see the plane go down, and then this guy starts going, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
No, I didn't see that.
But he goes, and then he goes, oh my God, I can't believe this, right? And people were reposting this saying, oh, it's like a terrorist attack or something. And what people need to realize is, for one, this isn't 9/11. Everyone is filming something nowadays. It's not that weird that you caught something in real time. Everyone is taking selfie videos and a million things. If something major goes on, I can guarantee you someone's filming it. And the response being Allahu Akbar, I mean, if you're a religious Muslim, it would be no different than saying Jesus Christ, oh my God. And people kind of dig into things a little bit too much. How was he taking video at this precise time? Because everybody is on their cell phone and everybody is taking video. And that is the response a religious Muslim would give to a crazy situation like that.
Well, the the video you sent me, that was from just somebody's cell phone, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It wasn't from it wasn't the street video.
Some type of dash cam, I think, though, right?
Dash cam, man. And believe me, if that was a terrorist attack, they failed miserably because they hit the plane.
And Sarah, by the way, did Mexico saying stuff like this does not help. Like, please, guys, because they were connecting it to things she said that were like of the fears of a domestic terrorist attack, and she's like, guys, this is not helping the cause. Like, this is just someone reacting to a plane crash.
It doesn't. You come on, guys, you got to do your due diligence. You can't look at one thing. What kind of plane was it? Who was flying it? What country it was from? And where did it hit? Hit in a rural area, which didn't have, there was one person that died that was in a car, I believe.
But wasn't it in the middle of Philadelphia?
It was a neighborhood. Rural, right? It was neighborhood. It was suburban.
Yeah.
I mean, a terrorist attack's they want bigger bang for their buck than that, guys. They do. And also the plane itself was a Mexican licensed plane, right? It was flying back to Mexico. Wasn't
I didn't even know that. No, I didn't
know
that.
Lear. It wasn't I don't believe, now I could be wrong, but I don't believe it was a US Lear. It was actually belonged to somebody in Mexico. Lear. It was, and so that would be another right there. They're not going to, they want the massive exposure. Terrorists they're trying to create the shock and awe. And if they're going to attack American, it's going to be American all the way with the biggest target that they can hit. And to me, it was a terrible accident. The plane stalled out, obviously. I don't know how, except Kirk would know better than me. And it just dropped from the sky, and it sucks, but I hate to say it. It's just a coincidence. It just happened the next day. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, or a few days after. Like, I think maybe 2 or 3.
Was it 2 days after? I thought it was right after. It was right after we posted. So yeah,
it was because we covered that story a couple of days after. So
yeah. So no, dude, if it's a terrorist attack, you're gonna know it's a terrorist attack. It's not gonna possibly, well, maybe it, especially in this day and age where as good as we get in our military skills, they do the same. They try to get better and bigger and more carnage. And in this day and age, they can. So no, I don't believe it was anything close to a terrorist attack. I didn't even think that was even up for discussion, but obviously
I think it was just that video. That video rubs people wrong, but there was nothing nefarious about it. It was just someone witnessing a crazy situation, and that's how they reacted.
Well, and maybe it is a Muslim that doesn't like Americans, and
no, but he wasn't saying it in that way. It was Allahu Akbar. Oh my God, that's how he said it.
Well, that's what Allahu Akbar. God is great.
It wasn't him saying it like a threatening way. It was oh my God way.
Why can't I remember? I should know this. What does Allahu Akbar mean?
I thought it basically means oh my God, or
everybody that has worked with me, you guys can.
I'm looking right now.
You guys can all bash the shit out of me.
A phrase meaning God is most great.
God is most.
So that is kind of a weird thing, yeah. Because I always thought it was oh my God, but oh my God is kind of a weird thing to say too when you think about it, right? I mean, I don't know, but the way he said it to me was like, I can't believe I'm witnessing this type of thing.
I get from that, because Allah Akbar does mean God is great. And then they say that when they would do something that would really damage us, Allah Akbar, God is great. Thank you, God, for doing this.
Yeah.
So that does seem kind of weird. And all I get from that is, there are, especially with what's going on, there are Muslims in the U.S. that don't like, I must say, they don't like U.S. citizens. And maybe it was like,
I still didn't feel like that was the way he said it, though. If you watch the video,
I
don't know.
But I don't think it was terrorist related. I just think it was just what he said.
I think it's just like when people witness something crazy, sometimes you say things that maybe wouldn't be appropriate. I don't know. That's how I saw it, but I could be wrong now. I'm looking at the translation, but either way, as Sarah said, which I agree, it doesn't help the situation to be, there's people who are always going to try tie things together and make conspiracy out of everything. I'll end it on something fun because none of this is fun. Is that Pablo Schreiber is going to be playing in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game. Now, here's the weird thing I thought about this.
Is that New York? Is it in Madison Square? Where are they playing it at?
No, I don't think so. Let's look.
I thought maybe they were playing it in New York in Madison Square Garden.
Celebrity All-Star
It's probably in Los Angeles or Vegas.
A lot of years I remember it's been in Miami before.
Miami would be another one.
But where a 2025 All-Star Game? No, San Francisco.
I wouldn't have thought that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because they have a big, they got the Golden State Warriors.
Golden State Warriors, yeah. You're right.
But here's the thing that I thought was crazy. So it says 2025 NBA All-Star Celebrity Game roster, and it says plenty of star power. And I looked at the full list of celebrities. Other than Pablo Schreiber, I know one person on this list. I'm like either I am living under a rock or these people are not celebrities. Because Pablo is the second biggest name on this thing. Easily, I think.
Who's the other?
I'm going to name all of them, and we're going to see if you know any of them. Okay. So this is the Team Bonds and 2 Chainz, but these are the coaches. So the coaches Barry Bonds and 2 Chainz. I know both of them.
I don't know I know Barry Bonds is. I don't know.
He's a rapper.
I thought 2 Chainz was like sponsors.
No. So 2 Chainz is a rapper. I know 2 Chainz.
I don't know the hell that
when
is.
I look at the team, all right, I'm looking right now. Okay, on Pablo's team, I know one person, which is Pablo.
Read the list.
I'm going to see if we know any of them.
I'll read the list.
Kai Cenat, who is a streamer.
No.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Noah Kahan, musician.
Never heard of him.
Never heard. Nope. Pablo Schreiber, actor.
I know Pablo. I've heard of Pablo. Of course I do. I know Pablo.
Masai Russell, Olympic gold medalist.
Don't know. What was he Olympic?
I don't know.
I'll have to look at that later.
Dylan Wang, actor.
No.
Baron Davis, former NBA star.
Baron Davis, he used to play. That's my days. I want to say, if that's the thing, Indianapolis.
Let's look. I'm not familiar with
it. I don't know.
Baron Davis. It's definitely not an all-star NBA player in my opinion, right? I mean, this isn't Scottie Pippen. Golden State Warriors. It looks like he was on a few different teams. He was on the Hornets, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Cavs, the Knicks. This guy had a long career, though, from 99 to 2016. That's a long career.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but I don't. And I'll be quite honest, in my defense, I don't pay attention to the NBA at all anymore.
Yeah. Alicia Gray, WNBA star. So I guess they have a woman playing, on men's team, on the, I guess it's co-ed
WNBA,
team.
Man.
But I mean, I wouldn't know anyone on the WNBA.
No, no clue. Kate, my wife, because my wife and daughter,
Caitlin Clark,
that my daughter knows. Actually, that's where my wife's there.
You know what? I'm trying to remember what comedian said it, but it was really funny how he talked about Russia taking Brittany Griner, and he goes like, "Did they not know that? Like, did Putin think this was going to be like a huge deal to us that you took a member of the WNBA?" And he's like, "No one cares about WNBA." And he said to the crowd as he's doing the stand-up, he's like, "And if you're offended by this joke, what team does Brittany Griner play for?" He's like, "I don't think any of you know." And he's absolutely right.
I heard that. I listened to him driving on a comedy. Netflix is a joke or something when I was driving. Oh, that was hilarious. Who did that? I don't
know who did it.
Yeah,
hilarious. It was true, though.
No, it's true.
He's like, Putin really thought he was going to get us by taking a WNBA player. All right, so don't know her. Danny Ramirez, actor.
No.
Never heard of him.
No.
Mickey Guyton, musician.
No. Who the hell?
Tucker Halpern, musician.
Never heard. No.
Don't know. And if it's both of us, then it's not
I
like
mean, it can't
we
be,
would
yeah.
at least know some of these people. Rome Flynn, actor.
Of what?
And you're a movie guy, right?
I do watch this shit.
Yeah.
That's all I watch.
Let's go to Team Rice and Lame. Jerry Rice, I of course know is a
Of course,
coach.
no Jerry Rice. Yeah.
Cobby Lame, I don't know who that is.
Never heard.
Khaby Lame.
It's not a really good last name either. Need to change that. That's
I know
terrible.
one person on
Who's
this
that?
team.
Oh, go
you're
through-
going to know the same
go through.
person. Drewski, comedian.
No.
Don't know. And I'm a comedy fan.
No, you're a comedy fan. Never heard of
Shabuzi, musician.
him. Hell no.
Yeah.
What the heck? I don't. Sounds like a drink. Maybe make that
This
with
is
my vodka.
crazy. This person's even on the team. How the fuck is this celebrity all-star? Chris Brickley, basketball trainer. How the fuck is a basketball trainer a celebrity?
Dude, I
would be embarrassed about Pablo.
No,
This is-
what? Maybe. Well, he might know who they are too.
he's the star
still in
power.
there.
All right. Walker Hayes, musician.
No. Country?
Don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oliver Stark, actor.
No.
Matt Barnes, NBA champion.
I don't of who? I don't remember a Matt Barnes.
Kayla Thornton, WNBA champion.
There's another one. Hell no. I
Yeah.
mean, no.
Shelby McEwen, Olympic silver medalist.
In what? I don't. Wow.
Don't know.
I don't know.
Bailey, WWE star.
The drink? That's the Bailey's.
Yeah.
Like put in my coffee. What? Never.
If it's
never.
if it's WWE, I only know if it's like 90s or early 2000s, 80s. I don't know who's wrestling now.
And I don't pay attention to people with only one name. I mean, even The Rock has two names. Come on, man.
AP Dillon, musician.
Never heard of her. Him.
Okay, so we don't know any. I know one
Wow.
person that I know damn well you're going to know, the last person on the team. And if you tell me you don't know this person, then I mean,
Then
Terrell Owens.
Then I'm
Terrell
invalid,
Owens, we know.
Oh yeah, the football Terrell Owens,
Yeah.
NFL player.
So we both know two people.
Yeah, and Terrell Owens, you get and played for. He started the smart assness. That's basically when I used to watch a lot of football. I like Terrell Owens and his craziness, but then he just lost his freaking mind.
I don't know. Now I just know he's a football player. That's all.
He's
I know
football.
about him.
He's nutbag, man. I mean, he went way too outlandish, but tremendous. And this is when I used to pay more attention to football. I love watching him play. He was a great player.
You know why I remember him? He was on the Eagles, right?
He was really good on the Eagles, real good on the 49ers, real good on, and I know because he played for the Cowboys too.
So here's what I remember. I went to college for 1 year before I transferred to Hofstra at Temple University in Philly. And that was the year the Phillies went to that the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, but lost. And Philly fans are just ridiculous, man. That whole year, everywhere I went was EAGLES, Eagles. You could be waiting online for a cheesesteak and people going EAG. So
can you imagine what's going on right now? Holy shit, dude.
They're nuts. But I mean, of course I know him. But man, Pablo, this is the weakest celebrity all-star game I've ever heard of in my life.
I didn't even know they still had it. I thought they stopped doing it.
I didn't either, but I mean, I would think you could get star power. I would think that if I would just think if you call like Will Ferrell, hey, we want you to be in the celebrity all-star game, just someone off the top of my head that people know.
Is he Will Ferrell like 70 years?
Let's do it.
He's 70 years old now, though, isn't he? Will Ferrell's old as shit. I love him, but that dude's old.
Yeah.
He probably.
All right. Well, then, of people we know who are appropriate age, look, there's a million celebrities out there.
Man, you should call Sean Ryan. He'll come down. I'm sure he'd go right there. Where's Joe Rogan go play, man? To me, that's celebrity basketball. But I mean, again, maybe that's just too big. Maybe that just
they might be too big. But I would even think like small, like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like who I would expect to be on this, and I don't know, like when you talk about actors like Will Smith or something, like someone people have heard of.
Well, yeah, even I say if you know like the young Top Gun actors that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know their names, but if I saw their picture, I'd know exactly. Oh yeah,
that doesn't have the picture,
guy.
but
yeah.
But I mean, look, I don't live. I know you would probably say you do live under a rock. I don't
I
live
do.
under a rock.
You
If
don't.
I
You should know
saw,
the musicians. I can't believe you don't know the musicians or the
yeah,
or
no, I
the or
don't.
the
And if they
comic.
were, if they were, if it was, I'm just
Good
trying to think of
music.
who's like
If
a
it was good
younger
music,
musician.
right?
I was gonna say Jelly Roll or something, but he's too fat to play in
No,
NBA
Jelly can't do.
basketball.
I mean, Jelly's not going to do that. But again, and probably you don't know them because they're not good music. They don't actually play
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I pay attention to what's going on new a little bit, but they're definitely, I would think they're not like multi-platinum. They're not Sabrina Carpenter, okay? Like I would know these bigger names.
I don't even know Sabrina Carpenter.
Really? So
No,
she was all of a sudden blown up. If you heard a song, you would definitely know it.
I probably would.
It's the type of stuff that you like. You walk into a Starbucks, you're gonna hear it. That
You
type of thing. Yeah.
get man. Well, it's when I listen and I work on my files. I see. I listen to old stuff.
Same.
Like
I mean, look, I
right.
mainly do listen to old stuff too, but I still think I'm not as in the know of probably. It's funny. I wish we had your son on the podcast because it would actually be interesting to hear if your son knows all these names because he might know all of them, and then we would just feel like old
We're
assholes.
just old as fuck. We're just dirt,
yeah.
dude. Just how it is. I am. I know I'm old. I mean, I got right now playing upstairs. My channels on iHeartRadio are Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, Louis Armstrong, and I got the Beach Boys on right now.
Oh,
That's
I
what
love
I
the
work.
Beach
That's
Boys.
what I work to.
So that poster over there, that print.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm trying to point, but it's
I got you.
You
I
know,
got you. Yeah,
behind there. I'm trying. It's hard to point honestly with the screen like near. But anyway, that right there, that is Beach Boys. It's a really
Boys.
Cool print. I love.
That's one of
Beach
the best
Boys.
documentaries that I can't remember what I saw it on. Maybe it was on Tubi or was
it.
on or Hulu. Oh, dude, it was Brian. It was a documentary on Brian Wilson. It was outstanding.
Nice.
Dude was I looked at that, so much respect for the Beach Boys now more so. Just he was beyond his time. I mean, still again, a guy, another hardworking, extremely intelligent, extremely talented, and just but caught in his own demons. That it was a great documentary. Maybe it was on Hulu. It might have been at Disney. And I don't watch a lot of
I don't know if I've seen. I
Disney.
saw the movie based on him, but you know what? I may have mentioned this on the show one time, but like this was so sad to me. But also, I understood it was he did an interview for Rolling Stone magazine a few years ago, and it was actually really cool. It was a picture of him. Maybe Harold could put it up if he finds it. It was a picture of him in his pool on the cover. But he had a quote in there where he said, like, I don't write music anymore. And he's like, I sit at my piano and I try to write something. And then I just think in my head, how the fuck am I ever going to top California Girls? Like, I'll never write anything remotely of that level again. Why even bother trying?
Wow.
Like, and I get discouraged by that. And I sort of understand that. Like, how are you ever going to do anything of that level again? You'll never do anything of that caliber again. So I guess he just feels like I've hit my peak, and why even bother anymore? And I thought that was kind of sad. You know, it brought a little tear to my eye.
To me, I look at it as a man. You reached the pinnacles, and now I just walk off into the sunset. But man, you're right. That pinnacle was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that's it's a long walk to the sunset, but he did. But the thing is, he's still someone like myself that just caught the documentary that was on. Maybe it was, I don't, and watched it like, wow, man, so many years later. So Brian Wilson, if you listen to him like you do, but you're still just that story of and I loved it that it put the hard work aspect that he did work his ass off, but then that became his life, and the rest of his life suffered because that's all he focused on. But man, and it did put out some good shit. That I forgot help and search it. There was one album, the Beach Boys albums, that was
Pet Sounds. Are you gonna say
Pet Sounds?
That's the big one. That's the big
Pet Sound, and that's the people compare the Beatles and all. There's no comparison. No Beatles albums even close.
I love the Beach Boys way more. So most people are going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue.
You can argue with me all you want. You remember that little piece, man. That album, those songs from Pet Sounds. There's just the arrangement. The only thing that may be close to that is is Queen, maybe.
Yeah, I love them.
I
probably like the the Surf's Up album a little bit more, which maybe I really
I
love that
I love
album.
that album too. No, it's
Yeah.
great.
You know what I'd like your opinion on, actually, now that we're talking Beach Boys, and we'll probably wrap up from here, but I just think it's interesting. Look, like, I know you're a guy who doesn't really go to shows anymore. I get that.
nah.
But what do you think of, so like a few years back, I saw, and I'm going to put air fingers quote, I saw the Beach Boys because it's Mike Love. I think it's Al Jardine. It's one of them, but
Yep.
it's two of the guys. It's a bunch. One of them's, I think Mike Love, like his son or something is in the band. Like, and they're carrying on the legacy, but it's kind of weird because you go and you're like, is this even the Beach Boys? And those two guys really don't. Mike Love sounds okay. The other guy who was there doesn't sound great anymore. And I do wonder, like, because you sometimes make fun of me when I'll see Faster Pussycat or LA Guns. You go, those guys are still touring. They were big in the 80s. The Beach Boys were big in the 60s. And it's like, does there come a time where you go, you know what, like, this isn't to the level of what we were doing. We're playing like smaller places. They don't sound anywhere near like what you would expect the Beach Boys to sound like in their prime. So it's just like, I don't know. Do you give it up at that point? To the flip side of that, like, it seems like Mike Love loves going out there, and he likes playing with like John Stamos will come out and do drums, and it's a celebration of the music. So it's like, who am I to tell them not to do this anymore? But at the same point, it's just like, it tarnishes the legacy a little bit, I think,
I think that's to me, that's an internal issue with they got to deal with that now. But as far as me saying don't do it, I just won't go to the show if it doesn't, because I don't want to remember.
Go if it was you don't.
I wouldn't go anyway. Yeah, I wouldn't go anyway. I wouldn't go because I just don't
like
do
you literally have not gone to a concert, I know, in like over 5 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So you can't really use the
I can't use that argument.
It could be like Metallica headlining 5 minutes from your house.
It could be and I still won't go to it. But I get to speak on behalf of Mike Love. And I'm totally out of my realm here, but it's I don't think he gives two shits. I think he's just doing it because, and you're that rich, you're that powerful, you're beloved, and you will be beloved forever because you're the Beach Boys. I think he does it just because he enjoys doing it, and I think he'd have the same mindset that I have right now. It's like, I don't give two shits who like it. I like it, so I'm gonna go do it. And I
don't want to put Lee Greenwood in the category because truthfully, he still sounds
sounds really good. Yeah. But in this case, man, brother, and if I was willing to go to a concert, would I go see them now? No, because I don't want to remember. I don't want that to be what I remember the Beach Boys. I want Sloopy come home. I want Pet Sounds. That's what I want to remember by. It does remind me when on our very, very first episodes when we had Pat McNamara on. And you guys were talking about him going. You went to Motley Crue concert, and it's just, I don't know why.
Wow, I don't remember this. That's crazy.
I just remember, but you were talking, and you asked him. I think you may even asked him a similar question, and he says, "No, I don't want to go watch those guys and hear Vince Neil because he doesn't sound like Vince Neil."
Yeah, and actually in Pat McNamara's particular case, he's not like you in that he still regularly goes to concerts.
Yeah, he's still a big metalhead, man.
Yeah, I remember him saying like, I went to, and he was excited. I went to Judas Priest and they're still fucking awesome. So like, he's not a guy who's just saying like, I'm not going to go to any of it. Like, he's like, if you guys are still bringing it, I'm going to go.
Because, man, and he did say that. I remember when you asked him why. I'm just flying the wall in this case because you guys are talking rock, and I don't know what to say, but he did say, because I don't want to remember him. I remember that. I don't want to remember Motley Crue sounding like that, and I completely agree in this case. I guess that's why I remembered it, is because I don't want to hear the Beach Boys like that. Nothing against what they're doing now. I want them to. I love seeing them out there because it does bring nostalgia back to me as well, but I wouldn't go see him because because I want to hear I want to hear the Beach Boys, which is why I have them playing on my iHeart upstairs so I can hear what the real Beach Boys in their heyday sound like, because they were, to me, the greatest band ever. I know that's saying a lot, but to me, they were the greatest band ever.
That makes sense to me.
And in the 60s, can you imagine? He was doing it all then without the aid of all this technology. He was just Oh man, it's just to me that's mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling again, just unbelievable. So I wouldn't. But you're right. If they still sounded like they did, if they were 5 minutes from my house, I probably would go see it. So yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's a case by case. Like I said, for one, like who am I to say you shouldn't be doing it
yeah.
anymore? If you're just doing it for the money, it is unfortunate because people are paying their
And I
hard-earned
don't
money
think
to
I
go.
don't think they are, even though they did get I think they did get ripped off pretty good with their
Oh yeah,
with
I know. Yeah, with this, yeah, but
with
I
their
know that more recently they've signed away like all their stuff for like a
yeah, they
huge
got yeah,
number.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's case by case because we've had Britt Lightning on the show, right? And there's going to be people who are going to go, "How is this Vixen? It's only the drummer left." But if you go see them live, you'll be like, "This is a really good show."
Yeah.
So there's some bands where I could understand that. I guess it's just case by case, man. Like I'll give you another one. We had you weren't there, but like Don Dokken was on the show, and my honest opinion is this: I loved having Don Dokken on. So it's like no disrespect to him whatsoever. He's still putting out music, studio music that's really good. Like the last Dokken album, I'll say buy a copy of it. I always try to buy hard copies of albums. I love it. When it comes to his live performing, he can't sing like that anymore. And he said it on the show. He said I can't hit those notes anymore. Like he's whatever. He's in his sixth. I don't know how old is Don Dokken?
He's
He's
six mid
really old
60s.
now.
Yeah, mid 60s. And
He might even be older than that because he started older than Don is 71.
holy
Okay.
shit.
So yeah, so it's like you're not gonna see a guy who sounds like he's in his 20s anymore. It's just not gonna happen. So he's like, yeah, take it or leave it. This is how I sound live. Now I saw them live on the last show that Dokken did with the original lineup in the US. And yeah, man, he doesn't sound great anymore live. It's just true. That's just being truthful. But I really like the studio music he's putting out. I hope he still does continue to release music. But if he enjoys touring, then that's great. But the truth is also some of these guys don't enjoy touring, and it's what they have to do to make money. Some of them, it's case by case in that. And I remember actually that when I had Electrocutioner, the drummer for Electrocutioner, saying this, and it's true. He's like, "What are these guys going to do? Go work at Home Depot? Like this is what they're used to doing."
Yeah,
so,
it's true.
and some of them would they would a lot of rock musicians like some of them don't even have high school degrees like what are they
Yeah.
going to do? They're going to quit performing live when they're able to still draw a crowd and go work at Starbucks? Like that doesn't sound very attractive to me. So
You get it. You get to go to you get to go to the ballpark each day, whether it's major leagues or whether it's single A. You get to go to the ballpark each day, and
that's a good way of putting it. Did you
and that
think of
is
that? Or?
no, that's from actually from Bull Durham, man.
I was like, that's got to be from somewhere.
That's a movie, man. Me and my movies, I can pull everything, but
It's
that's
true,
Bull
though.
Durham.
It's
You
true.
you get to go to the ballpark every day, and that's how you should look at it. If it makes you happy, and again, then go do it. And who gives a shit? And you do get to an age, it does. You don't give a shit anymore. I'm doing it because I like it, whether there's two people out there or not. I'm going out there and speaking. But in Mike Love's case, I do believe it's that. And he enjoys it. And he was, if you ever would have picked somebody in the early days from the Beach Boys that you would say, yeah, this guy needs to be out front forever. He's the face man. It's Mike Love, dude. It is. Come on. It always will be. And he is a great singer. And he is when you think of the Beach Boys, you don't really think of Brian Wilson. No, you think
And
of
Brian
Mike Love.
admittedly never liked touring.
No, he
never
did.
liked
He
it.
would go
Yeah.
home. He would go home. That's what I love from that documentary. But Mike, he is the face. As a young kid listening to the Beach Boys, I thought he sang every note because I didn't. He was always out front. But in his case too, I don't think he gives two shits what people think because why should he's Brian Love? I don't care.
Mike Love.
Or Mike,
You
did I
mixed
say
the two
Brian
up.
Love? I keep saying
Yeah.
Brian Love. Yes, Mike Love. Sorry, Brian Wilson, Mike Love, but but he is, and that's also a great attitude to have because you're not doing it for anybody else anymore. You're doing it for yourself, and if you enjoy it, great. And if people remember, it brings back great memories. Then keep doing it, man. Keep doing it. Whether you sound great or not, if it doesn't make a difference to the people that are coming to see you. I don't want to remember them that way, but there are people
Yeah.
that probably grew up like at their high school dances and proms,
Yeah.
and it really does bring back memories. Music, and you know this just as good as I
Yeah.
do. Hearing a song will bring back a memory from some place in time that you were. And I bet when I'm 70 and I hear Slipknot or Linkin Park, I'm gonna remember being in Baghdad.
Isn't it so crazy? Slipknot is going to be like golden oldies. It's
I
gonna
know,
be like
isn't that crazy?
me listening to Frank Sinatra.
But and in high school, the big Wham and George Michael,
yeah,
that was big. When I hear a Careless Whisper or anything, I remember where I was in high school, and I remember
slow dancing with
getting my heart broken in fourth grade with there was another, he sang it was Wham. They sang a really slow song. And I was gonna go ask this
Last
girl.
Christmas.
It wasn't. No, if I heard it, you heard it. It was Oh man, I can't remember it. I'd look it up, but I still remember fourth grade. I was gonna go ask this girl Amy to dance, and I couldn't get the balls to go do it. And the slow song came on. And this is when we used to have school dances. We were in fourth, fifth grade. So I'm gonna go dance there. I'm gonna go. Okay, this song's the last song of the night. It's a slow song. I really like this girl, and this kid Rocky went and asked her before I did. And it broke my heart because they started going out together, and I missed my shot. And I still remember when I hear that Wham song. I don't know why I can't remember the name. I still remember having my heart broken.
Do I need to look up Wham singles?
Dude, you gotta look at. I gotta remember that song. Yeah, before we end this.
Wham singles.
But that's what music does, man.
See, I see Wham. Last Christmas, of course, we all know it. But then I see the only song I know is Careless Whisper. But I see Last Christmas, Club Tropicana,
maybe it was Careless.
Wham Rap. Wake Me Up Before You
Go. You know what?
Everything.
Yeah, it was. I'm Never Gonna Dance Again. Where that's that's Careless Whisper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was the song. I still remember it.
When I think of Careless Whisper, you know what I think of? Night at the Roxbury.
Night at the Rock,
where his brother is living in the guest house.
Oh yeah. Dude, that just came
where he
on.
Goes, I love that movie where he goes, he's like, but they don't even have cable over there. What are you talking about? He's got Cinemax, but there's no HBO.
Dude, that is still the best. And it's my favorite channel on the Roku network. I just watched. There's a channel called oh my gosh, why can't I remember these things? I'm dying, guys.
What is it, all like 90s movies?
It's all funny movies that have like Night at the Roxbury, has like Anchorman 2, has like Animal House, has all the old Eddie Murphy movies. It's freaking awesome. And I can't remember. And the commercials, there's no commercials. So when they do a break, they do either a loop of all the funny movies continuous, or they just put the logo up there and you see a countdown. I hate commercials, dude. I get so tired of seeing medical, big pharma commercials.
Oh yeah, I still have all my Blu-rays and DVDs of stuff like that. So
yeah,
I'll still pop them in.
I wish I could remember that. My brain. It's time to cut off, guys. My brain is freaking going on vapors.
All right. Well, this was a fun episode. I mean, like I said, we knew we'd get into some news stories, but then we just got into some randomness, and I enjoyed it. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. As always, be sure to subscribe, support our sponsors, please. All that good stuff. Anything else? I mean, I thought this was fun, man. I enjoyed doing this.
So. No, I do love the guest free. Or maybe it's because my narcissistic self loves it. I do. I mean, I love having our guests. We get some wonderful guests on. We get great guests. We're having some great guests coming up.
Yeah, we do.
But
finally, some honest, Benghazi guys. I don't know if I want to give away who, but yeah.
Well, yeah, not yet. But and those guys, if you ever listen to this, all my buddies, you guys are always welcome.
Shoot them a text, man. I always say we got to get more of them on.
I did. They all know.
Well, we have one of them coming on. One of them is coming on.
One's coming on, and he should. And the other ones are always welcome. And we always, because they're my brothers, we will always push people. Sorry, guys, but we will always push people for Boone, for Oz, and for Tig, and even for Sarah. She is part of it. I mean, she's a big part of it. For those that don't know, Sarah was behind the scenes and knows a lot of the shit that went on immediately after, because she was our targeter in Benghazi. And so having her on is just like, to me, that's just like having Boone, Oz, or Tig on. And honestly, with her, the amount she's on social media now, she's bigger than all of us now. She got more followers. Yeah. She got more followers than all of us. Which kudos to her. She deserves it, and she is, and she's a hard ass worker, and she deserves everything that she's getting, all the kudos and all the recognition. She's earned it, man. So fist bump, Sarah. Good job.
That's all for this episode of Battle Line Podcast. But we're always posting new content on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. That's an order. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes up every Tuesday. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.